Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about yoga and social media. This is actually something I think about a lot and that is pretty present on my mind, is that when I'm scrolling through other yoga teachers or other people who practice yoga, their Instagram pages or their social media accounts, it's pretty common that I see a lot of yoga people out there who are okay, it's a little awkward, but who are wearing lingerie or bathing suits or not wearing too many clothes at all, or are, practicing yoga in a way that seems very almost exhibitionist. But on the other side of that, I also really worry that it's a lot of ballerinas and gymnasts out there who have this insane flexibility, who are stretching and making pretzels out of their bodies, and that's just not how the normal average human's body works. And so it can be really hard when we're looking at Instagram, when I'm looking at Instagram and I'm like, oh, these women, they're in these, how do they get in that shapes? Like, I'm working years and years on opening my hip flexors, and it's like their body doesn't even have hip flexors. And so it can be really hard to compare yourself. If you start to compare yourself to these people on social media channels, it makes you feel like, why am I even practicing yoga, right? Like, oh, they're so much better. Oh, I will never get like that. And that's so dangerous, because that's not what yoga is about, right? It's a complete and total internal journey, internal process about unifying the mind, the body, and the spirit. It's all about your mind, your body, and your spirit. It's not about anyone else's. And so it can be pretty difficult when you're scrolling through these feeds and seeing these pretzel shapes and women in bikinis doing crazy yoga poses. But the thing is that, like, that's not true yoga. That's not real, authentic yoga. And while I do like taking yoga poses, yoga photos myself, they're clearly here on my social media pages as well. Me doing Utthita Adha Pada Gustasana all the time. It's a big favorite of mine. But I do think that it's something, it's like we're real. We have real bodies with real difficulties. We sit so much every day, which shortens our muscles, or we were an athlete, which means our muscles are denser and tougher to develop flexibility for. We're not all ballerinas or gymnasts. And so I would encourage you, when you're looking at social media channels, if you see a page like that, like, oh wow, let's celebrate how beautiful that looks, right? These women look beautiful. That's incredible. But remember that this isn't the true and authentic path of yoga, and try really hard not to compare yourself to other people, because just because they can get both of their legs behind their heads doesn't mean that they're better at yoga than you are. There's no better. And what I love that my yoga teachers in India frequently say is, they'll say, how is your practice? Or how is your practice going? And whenever I say, oh, it's going good or bad, they're like, there's no such thing as good or bad. It's just saying that it's regular. They really believe that a good practice is a regular practice. The more often you practice yoga, even 10 minutes on the mat, right? The more often you're practicing it with regularity, that's considered like a great practice. They don't like to label it good, bad, any of those things. They just like regular or irregular, like I'm practicing frequently or not. And so just remember that that's really the only measure that you need to measure yourself against, is if it's regular or not. And does this feel good for your body or not? We all are different. And I would encourage you, when you're looking at social media pages, to remember that, because it's something I struggle with, certainly from time to time. I forget when I see these incredibly gorgeous 6 feet tall, 2 meter high ballerinas who can literally treat their bodies like it's chewing gum. That's hard to see, because it's so beautiful and so far from my own body and my own practice. But everyone's practice is different, and my practice is regular, and I'm really feeling great with it. And so I hope that your practice is regular and you're feeling great with it too. So I'll see you guys over on my blog, wildyogatribe.com.